BIZGrants, which we're proposing to launch on the 7th of December 2011. Government grants are an interesting area in Australia. There are over 400 federal and state government grants available, and they're paying approximately $5 billion annually. Many of these grants are targeted at small, medium enterprises. How many of your clients are obtaining government grants? Now, not everyone wants to apply for a government grant, and there is forms to be completed and reports submitted. But there is a lot of money floating around the system that many of your clients could be eligible for. And obviously there's both federal and state government grants and even some local government grants. The system ESS BIZGrants is a continual development of products being offered by ESS BizTools. Already within ESS BizTools, there's about 100 papers on various government grants, and these papers will be expanded over the next few weeks, so that for every government grant that we're listing within ESS BIZGrants, there will be a full paper to give you a full overview of what's in that grant. So the design of the system is that it will enable accountants to identify grants that might suit a particular client. I don't know how many of you have tried to search various government websites and publications that are available at present to identify grants that might be available for your clients. In Melbourne a week and a half ago at the ATSA conference, a number of accountants told me they'd given up because it was too difficult to try to locate grants that might be suitable. For this reason, ESS BizTools, in conjunction with our programmer, have looked at this from a completely different angle. And the system which we're going to use will require the accountant to answer about 10 basic questions relative to a client that you are interested in having some discussions with about business grants. We think this process will take a maximum of 5 minutes. And our suggestion is that you undertake this process at the end of the financial accounts review, just prior to you having the actual meeting with the client, so that you can discuss with them government grants that you may have identified that may be of benefit to them. Of course, if you wish to put in a particular client at any time during the year, you'll be able to do so. So the sort of information which we're looking for, besides the name of the business, is the business structure. Obviously, what type of business entity has a significant bearing on grants: company, partnership, trust, sole trader, etc. The location is very important, more so for some grants rather than others, but it does play a significant part. And the turnover or size of the business, both minimum turnovers and maximum turnovers, can affect various grants. The number of employees, the industry classifications, are they in manufacturing, defence, research, and the particular interest activities that the client has. Are they undertaking research and development? Are they involved in export activities? So what you will be able to access is a finder questionnaire, which will then assist in the identification of grants which might be suitable for that particular client. This will summarise the key components of the government grant and will then assist you to make a decision as to whether that grant is suitable for a particular client. For argument's sake, what is going to happen is one of the questions is, does the business export? And you may well have answered yes. The supplementary question that you will then be asked is the export market development expenditure in excess of $20,000? And if you need it, you can also click onto a further link which will give you a detailed definition of what export market development expenditure covers. In this way, you'll be able to identify the client may well be exporting, but you may not have spent in excess of $20,000. However, it mightn't be a bad idea to have a look at what is really covered for the export market development grant. There are 13 main headings, and there are 4 or 5 sub-items under each of those headings. A lot of expenses are covered, some of which your client might not really have thought about. You'll then be able to, if you wish, link to a detailed paper on the identified grant that is part of ESS BizTools, and those papers will be utilised within ESS BizGrants, so that if you wish to read more about the grant and to decide whether your client might be eligible, to decide whether you believe your client can satisfy the entry requirements and maintain the records that the government grant requires, then you can go one further link, and we'll be linking direct to the appropriate government department's website to access the application form. Now, we thought about having the application form within ESS BizGrants, but we've changed our mind on that. We're including all of the URLs for the various government departments offering grants within the system, so we can link direct to them. The reason is quite simple. Government departments sometimes change the application forms, and they don't normally tell anyone when they do that. So we want to make sure that if you are interested in proceeding with an application, that you do have access to the most relevant, most recent application form for that particular grant. The other reason is that government departments are known to suddenly withdraw various grants for all sorts of reasons. As a senior bureaucrat said to me a few years ago, government grants are not there for small business. They are primarily there, according to the bureaucrat, to assist the government of the day to implement a particular policy. And as the government's attitude to that policy area changes, so can the government's support for various grants, and they can be withdrawn very quickly. And there's been a number of recent incidents relating to this. So by going to the government website and looking for the application form there, and we'll be taking you direct to where the application form is supposed to be, if for some reason the government has recently withdrawn that grant, then you will be made aware of that, obviously, because there's no application form, and you won't be wasting any further time. If that happens to you once you start using ESS BizGrants, we would appreciate an email telling us you've had problems with a particular grant, because whilst we are indicating to you that we will be maintaining this site by including details of new grants and withdrawing old grants, sometimes the monitoring of it will be very difficult, and we would appreciate some feedback if something's gone wrong with a particular grant. By the same token, if you are aware of a grant that we have not included within the system, we would appreciate an email telling us, and we will then within 7 days have that grant included within the system, quicker if we can do it. But sometimes availability of staff will have a restriction on how quick we can get that new grant into the system. Because we are trying to make sure that ESS BIZGrants includes the details on virtually all grants within the Australian system, government grants, both state and federal, that apply to small medium enterprises. We are not at this stage including any grants for not-for-profits or for the big end of town. The accountancy firms that utilise ESS BizTools products primarily are servicing the SME market, and we believe that the same will apply to ESS BIZGrants. If, however, you believe there are certain not-for-profit grants around that you'd like more details on, please send us an email and we'll put it into our work program to look for those and include details. So what are some of these grants that are available to SMEs? Commercialisation Australia has grants from $50,000 in the Skills and Development Program, which is an 80% grant. That means $64,000 worth of work can be done. That's the highest paying grant in Australia at 80% contribution from the government, through to grants of $2 million for early stage commercialisation repayable grants. An early stage commercialisation is repayable from the turnover for the product that was supported. Once the turnover of that product exceeds $100,000, and the company is then obligated to repay 5% of that turnover as a repayment of the grant. Enterprise Connect has about 9 different streams of grants covering manufacturing industry, defence industry, clean energy areas, arts, and has a particular grant for remote locations. And it's an interesting one. If you have a client that operates within a remote location, and within the system we are going to have a reference map which will, once you have inserted the postcode of the client, will be able to tell you whether the client is within either an outer regional area or a remote location. If they're within the remote location and they have a turnover of over $750,000 per annum, irrespective of what type of corporate structure they have, they are potentially eligible for a grant under Enterprise Connect to help with a whole range of activities, from reorganising their financial record keeping, new computer software development, business plans, market research, human resources systems, risk management analysis, reorganising their factory layout, whole range of services. Research and development. Now what we're meaning by research and development is the system that applied up to the 30th of June 2011, because obviously you have, until you've lodged the tax return for 10/11 or the 30th of April 2012 to register for research and development if your client spent more than $20,000 on research and development in the 2010-11 year. And I'm sure you're all aware of the new R&D tax incentive which commenced from the 1st of July this year. There are some significant changes and our system will include details of that. Export Market Development Grant, I've just mentioned part of it before. Certain inputs to manufacture, there are benefits there for manufacturers. Apprenticeship incentives, there are substantial incentives for businesses to employ apprentices. Industry Capability Network is a very interesting program. There's no cash available from it, but that organisation will assist your clients to be brought to the attention of major projects or developers in Australia to show companies doing activities in Australia that businesses do exist that can supply the sort of services that they may require rather than importing those goods from overseas companies. Australian Technology Showcase is also another very interesting program for people who have developed new technology, whereby that program assists in promoting and publicising the fact that a particular enterprise has developed a new product or service. Again, no cash is handed out, but a significant promotional benefits available. TradeX scheme. How many of your clients are importing products from overseas and then exporting those products within 12 months, either in the original state they arrived in Australia or now as part of some new product? By registering for that scheme, TradeX, your client can avoid having to pay customs duties and GST on the products when they are imported. Farm Management Deposit Scheme, I believe most of you are aware of that, and there are a range of programs to do with textile, clothing and footwear. So that's the background to what the system is showing us. I've now gone on to the a sample of the website on ESS BIZGrants. We believe there are significant benefits to accountants in utilising ESS BIZGrants, in that it's a better service for your clients, because I believe there are many small medium enterprises in Australia missing out on government grants. So we believe that this product is an efficient way to identify the grants that are there. And there is an opportunity for you as the accountants to earn some extra fees from this, because some of the work that's required under various government grants will probably be able to be undertaken by your firm. And as long as you're prepared to undertake business planning work, looking at some sort of market research work, reorganising an client's accounting system, looking at risk management profiles for a client, that's all work that can be undertaken. Now we're now going to show you 5 client profiles. We have pre-inserted the data for each of these particular clients. So we'll go to XYZ Proprietary Limited. Now my brief on this client is that they operate in Melbourne. They're in the manufacturing industry. They have 15 employees. They've been in business for 8 years. Their principal office, as I said, location is in Melbourne. Their turnover is $14.8 million. They're registered for GST. And they are primarily in the manufacturing industry. So we'll then do a grant search for them to see what sort of grants that might be forthcoming. And we have the Export Market Development Grant, because I forgot to mention as I was giving you the profile, this company had export sales of $745,000. So they could obtain a Export Market Development Grant from $10,000 up to $150,000, as long as they've spent $20,000. So you can make the decision on that you're going to go further. The research and development is based on expenditure in excess of $20,000 on research and development up to the 30th of June 2011. And because they are in manufacturing, they could seek a grant of up to $20,000 on a 50% basis, so in other words $40,000 worth of work, under the Enterprise Connect manufacturing centres. That program requires revenue of at least $2 million, but under $100 million, and requires the business to be a manufacturing firm which has its prominent business activity as manufacturing, or it could be a manufacturing related service. Now this covers a wide range of businesses, from draftsmen, architects, engineers, people who are engaged in the manufacturing industry as related services, but might not be directly called a manufacturer. The next profile we're going to look at is a software enterprise. Sorry, I hit the wrong button then. It's a software enterprise that's a company, operates with with 2 employees, been in business for 3 years. Principal address is in Sydney. Their turnover is $220,000, but their expenditure is $274,000. The reason we're asking annual expenditure is that some of the grants are saying turnover or expenditure. It's to help new startup companies that may have, in fact, as this one has, incurred a loss. They're still eligible. The building industry, this is a business that supplies all sorts of industries. And the grant search is going to tell us that they could have been eligible to claim the R&D tax offset. Again, this is on expenditure up to the 30th of June 2011. But they could also have applied for Commercialisation Australia, Specialist Advice and Services, because they are doing research and development. Presumably they are trying to develop something, and they could have be eligible for a grant of up to $50,000 on an 80% basis to help with planning, market research, intellectual property reviews, etc. And perhaps they could also apply for a Commercialisation Australia Proof of Concept grant, which is from $50,000 to $250,000, as long as they have spent a minimum of $100,000, because it's a 50% subsidy. So out of their initial research, they may want to do some more to actually prove the concept, and they would be eligible to apply on that basis. The next grant is for a company which we're saying, we called it the New Development Company. Again, it is a company. It's got 1 employee, been in business for 2 years. This one operates in Brisbane. This business has no turnover. It's all research at this stage. Annual expenditure $90,000. And it's a business who supplies services to all industries. So because it's doing research and its turnover was under $5 million for the year ended 30th of June 2011, it would have been eligible for the R&D tax offsets at 37.5% on the expenditure. Obviously it was under the $2 million limit, which thankfully is now gone under the new system, but we're still working on the old one for this particular company. And because they are obviously in doing research and development work, they could have been eligible under Commercialisation Australia for Specialist Advice Services. And again, this one could have also find itself eligible for the Commercialisation Australia Proof of Concept grant, as long as they're going to do further new work. And I should have emphasised that before. This is for new work that they might be eligible. The next one we want to do is a business which we've called Alice Electronics. There are 10 employees. They've been in business for 5 years. They're located in Alice Springs in the Northern Territory. Their financial details is their turnover is $1.4 million. Now just going back to the entity details, this business is a sole trader. I meant to emphasise that as I discussed it. So they're a sole trader with turnover of 1.4 million, expenditure of 1.2, so they've made a $200,000 profit. And they're a service provider to all sorts of industries. Now this business would be eligible for an Enterprise Connect remote location grant of up to $20,000 on a 50% basis for a range of work to do with business planning, market research, risk management strategies, reorganising their factory, whole range of activities they could have been eligible for. It's interesting to note that their turnover could have been as low as $750,000 because they were located in Alice Springs. They would have been eligible for this grant. And the last one we want to go to is a business which we've called NT Defence Proprietary Limited. This is a company, 7 employees, 6 years in business, and a lot of these grants are asking for, some of them are looking for a minimum number of employees and a minimum period of time in a business. Principal address is Darwin and the NT. This business has got a turnover of 1.6 million, expenditure of 1.3. They're supplying the government administration and defence industries. They were undertaking research and development. I forgot to mention what the case study criteria was. They'd spent $105,000 on R&D. My other notes tell me. So they would have been potentially entitled to claim 37.5% of that $105,000 as R&D expenditure. They, because they're doing research and development, they may have been eligible to look at the Commercialisation Australia Specialist Advice and Services, give them support of up to $50,000. They could apply for proof of concept under the same program, Commercialisation Australia, if they had a project that they now wanted to go on with, subject to that project costing a minimum of $100,000. Now, their accountants could be involved in that project even as just the project managers, and that would be an allowable expenditure as long as it was declared to Commercialisation Australia as part of the costing process. And because they're in the Northern Territory, this business would also be potentially eligible for an Enterprise Connect remote location. The whole of Northern Territory is considered to be in a remote location for that grant. And one of the things I've been forgetting to mention is on any of the Enterprise Connect grants, there is also a special grant of up to $50,000 to assist businesses who are doing research to engage a researcher. Now the researcher has to be a university graduate. The legislation doesn't say a recent graduate, so it could be someone 60 years of age. As long as, who's a graduate of course, who can bring skills that that business needs to be able to implement its research into its technology and take it further. So the person's not to sit there and do an administration job. And this business could also have applied for Enterprise Connect under another category called defence industry, because it was a business doing work for the defence industry, but you can only claim that once. You can't double dip, so they can take their pick whether they're applying for it under the regional locations or defence industry. So hopefully that gives you some idea of the grants that are available. I don't want to do that. That are available. I've lost it somewhere. So just going back to it, I just hit the wrong button there, but we're back onto the webinar now. Sorry about that. We are launching ESS BizTools on the 7th of December. We did tell some people at ATS it would be launched a little bit earlier than that, but our program and schedule is such that we'll be not able to happen under the 7th of December. We're going to run a special webinar on that date, Wednesday the 7th of December, same time as today, so midday Queensland, 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. You can register at our ESS BizTools website for that webinar, and that will be a full overview of just how the product works. And we are repeating this introduction webinar on Tuesday the 22nd of November. If you have any colleagues in your organisation who you think would like to have an understanding of what is being introduced for the location of business grants. The subscription for ESS BizGrants will be $990 including GST per annum, or $95 per month. If a firm is already an ESS BizTools Gold subscriber, those firms obtain free access to ESS BizGrants. We'd be happy to talk to you if you want to talk to us about a subscription. At this stage, we haven't got any of the subscription forms on our website. They will be placed on the website in about 2 weeks' time. But if you want to talk to us in the meantime, please ring us and talk to us about us. We also have another business advisory service introduction webinars. We ran these about 6 weeks ago. We've been asked to repeat them, so we're doing it in the month of November, commencing on Monday the 7th of November. These are free webinars to anyone that wishes to get an understanding of what is required relative to the implementation of business advisory services. So we're looking at the range of matters there. Sorry, I went too fast. Team training, use of the SME needs analysis, review of the sort of products that you can offer as business advisory services, leadership, marketing strategies, selection of the products and also your product champions, how you plan a seminar to launch business advisory services, and how you sell and market it. So those webinars, there's 9 of them, will be presented during the month of November. They will be taped, recorded, so you will be able to access those on our website if you like, and you can register for those free webinars at essbiztools.com. So a reminder once again, we will be launching ESS BizGrants on the 7th of December. I hope you will be able to join us for that webinar at that time. If in the meanwhile you have any questions, please send us an email and we'll get back to you and answer them, or you can make a telephone call to us if you like. I'll just check whether any questions have came in today. So thank you for participating in this webinar today. I trust that we've given you a better overview of how we are presenting this material on government grants, and I look forward to being able to talk to you again on the 7th of December when we'll be